Hello and welcome back to Alex Goes Sailing. First sail of the season, and we got Mingulay on the water. We're at East Head. Launched yesterday and that went well. A little bit rushed for the tide, but you can see me putting the mast up and stuff. Now, raising the mast hasn't really changed the process. I have made it a little bit more efficient by changing the way I strap the mast down and remove unnecessary things, or find a quicker way to strap it or unstrap it just to make it that much easier, or where I put things. So that's made it a little bit quicker, so I can get it done in about half an hour quite easily. But usually I'm on the water from arriving in about an hour, so that's pretty good. But the one thing that adds a lot of time is forgetting to put the lazy jack lines through the mast, which I've done a few times now, and especially in the last adventure I did that, I had to go up the mast. Also, I can forget to put the wind vane on. So those two things, or anything else, if you've got a different kind of boat, those kind of things can add quite a bit of time. But that's my process. I hope you can learn from my kind of setup and how I do things to make your life a little easier. Helena is along for the ride, and we're on the water until the Round the Island race. So we've got about 2.5 weeks, I think, before that. And we're going to be sailing about, see where we go, see what the wind's doing. The weather, it's quite a windy day today, so spicy sail. Helena hasn't been sailing before, so that'll be exciting. Probably put one reef in the main, I think, and we'll just see how it works. But the wave shouldn't be too bad, maybe a bit choppy. But yeah, about 20 knots, gusting 30-ish. It varies. I think later on in the afternoon it gets a bit windier, but the aim's Newton's Creek, and then Monday see if we can go a bit further and see what happens. But Tuesday is a bit of a stormy day, so I want to be hidden for that. And yeah, that's the plan. Boat's all set up. Got a few new sponsored bits and bobs to go, like a new dinghy. I got a new pump from Scanstrut. That's gonna be cool. I got a few more Vercrew bits, the boat tracking thing. So we're gonna install those at some point, probably in the next anchorage. And I'm gonna edit a video as well at some point. But yeah, we're gonna get cracking. We're gonna pull up this anchor and head off into the wind. Oh no. Hi, seaweed. Bye bye. Get off my boat. Dirty,
Ew! That's gross!
Disgusting.
Yeah.
It goes in that way better. Hold on.
Oh, you're here for the carrot stuff. I
Once we got out of the harbour, we did try to sail, but the wind was too much on the nose, so couldn't really make any progress. So we decided to head to Bembridge for a spot of lunch. Right, made it to Bembridge for lunch. The plan with that is basically the wind is shooting that way. We're kind of tucked in away from the wind, but it's 20 knots we saw on there. But the plan is to go down there. So going straight from Hayling Island, I had about a little under 30 degrees of wind, probably closer to 20, most of the time coming here. So if I had turned down all the way down there, I would have probably ended up in Portsmouth, having to then motor ups again. So we thought if we just blast up here with the motor, have lunch, wait for the sun to come out a little bit more, and then we'll have a nice sail, and the wind will probably be at, I don't know, 60 degrees, maybe a little less, 70, 80. So we're gonna have a lovely sail all the way down. We'll have to get down past Cowes, and then we'll head up to Newton's Creek. We might have to put the motor on there because we'll be going directly into the wind. But we'll have the current going with us from now, so that's good. And we're just about to do some toasties. So it's gonna go in my belly. Right, we had a lovely lunch, and we're here. We're gonna head all the way over to Newton's Creek. The wind is kind of blowing this way, so we'll be going to cross it we get to cows. Apparently it's meant to pick up to like 30 knots blowing this way and the tide's going that way, so it might be a bit wavy, but we'll have to see how that goes. We might just hug the coast and hopefully get protected a little bit. Well, at least the tide will be going with us. So let's get a wriggle on. I'm gonna throw the main up. I might put a reef in it. I just wanted to make sure the reefing thing works and everything. And yeah, and then we get the head sail out. Right, we're at anchor in Osborne's Bay. We set sail from just around the corner there, which is the little anchorage we were at, which is just by Benbridge. And we sailed pretty much all the way around to Wooden Creek just down here. And then the wind picked up to about 30 knots and the chop really picked up. So decided to drop the sails, tuck right in up here in the shallows, and well, for the night we're at Osborne Bay, which is lovely. And for the weather tomorrow, I think we're gonna get up early, catch the sunrise, as the winds are a bit calmer and the tide will be helping us around the corner. And then we'll go play in that channel until we get bored. And then we'll go into Newton's Creek. And then Tuesday's meant to be not the nicest of all weathers, so we're gonna go hide in there for a little bit. I think Wednesday is pretty similar, but Thursday and Friday are possible days to cross the channel. So we might work our way down to Studland Bay and leave from there, reprovision in pool, or see what happens. Weather changes all the time, as you may all know. We're set, the anchor's good, and boat is packed up nicely. Probably need to tighten up that lazy jack a bit, it's a bit loose. But that's it for today. It's the next morning and it's dead calm. Should still be a decent bit of wind, but it's filling in this morning. So we're gonna submerge around the corner, should pick up the wind around there. We're gonna do a bit of sailing, low tide, so we're gonna, well, it's slack tide at the minute, so we'll be able to get around the corner, then it'll be filling in on us. But we should be able to play around there. And then it's ready for a bit of sailing today, so that'll be fun. Boat's looking pretty tidy down there. We've got the outboard running, and I'm just about to pull the anchor up. Right, we've done a bit of sailing after we got past cows. We watched the squalls come through, picked up a little bit, had to whip in the head sail and ride out one of the little bits of wind. But we were zipping along, doing like 7 knots, just going across. But we were actually tacking backwards because the current was so strong. So 3.5 knots pushing us back. So we weren't making any progress. So we decided to motor the last little ways. We're just gonna pop in here until the tide dies. It's Newton's Creek. So we're gonna anchor tonight. I didn't really film too much because I was teaching Helena how to sail in the rough stuff. And she actually did it really well. She picked up all how to use the winches and things like that. I think, yeah, it's going good.
Whoa!
So you get the rope. I have the ATMOS, which is a air pump for your dinghies, inflatables, things like that, from Scanstrut. They kindly sent it over to me free of charge. So I'm going to be testing this out, and I want to put it up against the pump that I have been using, which is, I think, fairly standard. It pumps things up pretty quick. It's got the 2 little jump leads, hook them up to the battery, and on and off, and it has a deflate as well. This one is an all built-in unit, watertight. You fit it permanently on your boat, so we're going to mount it on the side somewhere. Just need to figure out where. So I think for now we're just going to get it out, try it, do some tests with it, compare it against the other pump, and see how it goes, and then we'll figure out where to put it a little bit later on. But install's fairly standard. Cut a hole in somewhere, screw it on, and wire it in with 2 wires, black and red. So let's unbox this and see what's inside. Right, so I've just opened up the box. Inside, you've got the actual unit. You've got this cutting template, which shows you where you should drill your holes and do your cut lines to fit it into like a little wall there, where the screws go. These little end plates, what tools you need, so all very handy, and yeah, little wiring diagram. But inside here, you've got the main unit itself. This is the cover on it. You can probably pop the cover off. I think you've got to pop it off from this side. Just pop that off. You got the screen, and then I think this door just pops open. A few instructions on the side there. Inflate and deflate. So straightforward. Little gasket around here for water tightness. Stand that shut. Do I peel it off? Nah, not yet. We've got power, some arrows, start and stop I assume, and some other button. Got to read the instructions. Here, the little end caps. I think there's a bag of screws in the corner there. And here you can see we've got the wires. So just 2 wires. Quite simple and easy. So there's a cover. Throw that back up here. This box, the accessories. So I'm assuming this is the hose. So there we go. Got some instructions on how to use the pump. So attach the correct fitting. Deflate. This is like how to deflate guide. So you get a nice bag to put your hose in. It's quite a big bag, I feel like, for just this hose. But this is the hose. So I think this is the end where you put all of these connector things on. It's tied down. So it's tied down, but you've got all the different types you could possibly need. Here they are, if you want to see what they are. They're all different variations. I think the one cool thing about this hose is you can spin this and it spins the end there. So you don't have to twist the hose while you're screwing it on. You can just place it on here and turn just this without having to spin the hose. So it all stays still and you can just thread it on like so. That's pretty clever. I like that, a good feature. The unit itself has got a little bit of depth to it, so wherever you're mounting it, you can't go too deep. But the wire does come out of the side here, so it is a bit easier to run the wires and like stick out the back, something silly. So quite happy with that there. Apart from that, I think that's it. I think there's a little instruction book down here, a little packet of all the screws you need. Some good mounting guides here. You can only really have it on the vertical, you can't lay it flat, otherwise it'll just collect water. So that's good. The door opening, you want it to open all the way. Tools you need, fairly straightforward, hole saw, jigsaw, drill. Yeah, nice simple installation. So I'm just gonna get the ATMOS out, we're gonna hook it up, we're gonna try it, compare it to my other pump, which can only really inflate and deflate and doesn't have set pressures or anything, it just inflates. Turn it on and off. This one, I'll be able to set it, so that'd be interesting and quite handy. We're just gonna hook up the hose and see which one's gonna come out on top for speed, because that's all you can really test with those. Now the pump that I'm gonna be putting the ATMOS up against is this thing. It's a Joby Turbo something 12 volt. It's pretty fast. You've got these little clips you just clip to a battery. It draws a lot of ampage and it can just chug along. So this is what it's going up against. There's no pressure setting on this one. It just inflates to whatever it can push, which I don't think is too much pressure. Whereas that one will be a bit better for that, but it's whether that one can also do the speed, because this one's very fast at getting it initially inflated. So whether that one could do the initial inflation quick and then switch to like a more pressurized mode, because pumps tend to not do both at the same time. So that'd be an interesting thing to test. So I'll run a timer, a little time lapse probably. I'll be pumping up the dinghy. I'll probably do, I could even do the opposite tubes. So I'll do one side with the one pump and one side with the other pump and just time which side will be faster. I'm gonna be testing out that dinghy right there. This one got sent over to me by Maelstrom and we're gonna give it a whiz. This one's gonna be interesting because it's designed like a catamaran. So kind of the bottom of it sits off like the water or the flat surface. The difference between the hull and the bottom of the deck of the dinghy is like that much. So it acts like a catamaran. So it should be quite a bit faster. So I'm gonna put this together and I'm gonna test some of the new air pumps we got and see how quickly it sets up, how easy it is. At the minute, it's compared to my last dinghy, which is a 2.35 meter dinghy. This one is, off the top of my head, it's like 2.9 something. So quite a bit bigger, which is nice, especially when I have all the friends out soon. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it stacks up in comparison, see if I can go faster. So I've only got the same size outboard, which is 2.5 horsepower. And yeah, well, let's go put it together. Now Maelstrom kindly sent this out for me to try. It's a cat dinghy with a rounded front, not just a full-on cat style, which is quite interesting, and I think it's very efficient when rowing and motoring. I'm doing a bit of a long-term test, but this is just me setting up. In the bag comes the air pump. There's a bench seat, which I didn't actually bring with me on this trip. It's also got the air deck, as well as a repair kit and the boat. I think this model I've got is the 2.95 meter model. You can have about a 15 horse outboard on the back of it. I'm going to run it with my 2.5 at the minute. I will be going up to 6 horsepower, and I've actually managed to get it to plane with the 6 horsepower with 2 people on board and me. So that's quite impressive for that size of dinghy and the weight and the size of the outboard. Now the first test is with the turbo pump on the high flow stage, because that's the only stage it's got, and it doesn't quite get it as hard as the Scanstrut's high flow stage. Just take that into account. But they're quite on par for timing, so getting them filled up, because it's just going from 0 to 1 psi, and then the Scanstrut will do the switch over to the pressure stage, and that's really the one that counts, because having to manually hand pump that pressure and get it up to whatever psi the dinghy requires takes a lot of effort, and you get out of breath, and it takes some time. And you don't want to be doing that all the time. I'm actually looking forward to actually having this on board. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to install it, but we'll figure that out in a later episode. But for now, we're testing it out. User interface, super easy and useful. The deflate function works great too. So overall, I'm quite happy with it, but we will be doing a long-term test, and I'll let you know how that goes, and you will see it in future episodes. So I hope this little test gave you an indication of what the capability of this ATMOS pump is compared to a standard, very common pump for us sailors. So hopefully it helps, and if you want to pick one up, I will leave a link in the description to where you can check out the specs and see some other details about it. We made it to the beach right here, Newton's Creek. Elena made it, a little bit of spray, we did a bit of a walk. I've got this new dinghy now. This is Maelstrom. I'll probably leave a link in the description somewhere, but the special thing about this, you can see daylight through the bottom of it. It acts as like some kind of catamaran, and we've just blasted upwind from down there into some decent chop. It's kind of chopped down because we've been on the walk, but it dealt with the spray pretty well. We both sat quite far at the back and wasn't that bad, and the speed was pretty good. I'm trying to get my app open and see how fast it will go, but this is only 2.5 horsepower, and I think on the way back we'll try and spread the weight, see if we can get it to plane a little bit or somewhat. But yeah, we're gonna go up the creek and back down again, maybe up the other bit, do a bit of an explore, see where we go. Right, that's it for this episode. Not too much sailing in this one, but that's just the way it goes sometimes. But I will give you a little bit of a trailer to what's coming up in this adventure, because I'm quite excited about it, because we got to see some awesome stuff, and I think you're gonna love it too. So I'll roll a few clips, and I'll see you guys in the next one.